A totally normal question I ask all the time, who is the most famous monkey? No, not that one. Nope, not him either. Not even. Oh, wait, yeah, that's the one we're talking about today. Donkey Kong has been a Nintendo icon since 1981. Villain, comic relief, and banana hoarding hero, he's done it all. And across the span of 40 years, he has starred in 38 different games. And someone has to rank all of them. And while others may have already done this, they don't include Donkey Kong Bananza like I do, so I'm just saying, I'm better than them. But we should get a move on. We actually do have 38 games to play through, and we're starting at the top of the barrel. Number 38? Nah, we're starting it where it all began, with Donkey. The game that introduced the world to a plumber named Jumpman, a kidnapped damsel, and a big angry ape with unlimited supply of barrels. It's simple, it's brutal, it's iconic, and it's responsible for everything that followed. It's a lot of fun and very challenging to climb to the top, but it's a short game with only 4 levels. I mean, it's an arcade game, you're not going to beat all 4 levels on your first try, and thankfully I didn't need to waste all of my quarters on this. With Donkey Kong's success, Nintendo naturally made sequel arcade games with Donkey Kong Jr. and Donkey Kong 3. Donkey Kong Jr. is actually a redemption story, as after Mario stops Donkey Kong and saves Pauline, he then traps DK in a cage and proceeds to torture him, so it's up to his son, Donkey Kong Jr. to save him. And I don't know how that leads to Mario spraying bug spray up Donkey Kong's butt in the sequel. I feel like we missed a step somewhere. But gameplay wise, these are wildly different games. But I didn't have that much fun in Donkey Kong Jr. I just didn't enjoy having to hop from vine to vine and avoiding enemies. But I did enjoy Donkey Kong 3 more than the original arcade game. It was great hitting Donkey Kong all while jumping around, avoiding enemies, and protecting my flowers. But that's every arcade title. They're all great games, and they will be released anywhere and everywhere, including our next category, the game. I mean, they're just Game & Watch titles. They're not that special, and somehow they made 7 of them. They're all gonna be put at the bottom of the list because, yeah, they are fine, but because they are Game & Watches, they can't stand against actual game series like Donkey Kong Country is a platformer game developed by Rare, and just like the original arcade games, became one of the most influential games ever made. Graphically, it is astounding for an SNES game. They used 3D models and then compressed them into sprites, making the game just look stunning. Story-wise, Donkey Kong's banana hoard has been stolen, so Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong had to fight through the Kremlings and beat their leader, King K. Rool, to get it back. All of the environment stood out so much with its visually stunning graphics. There are some levels that stand out more, mostly the minecart levels and the underwater levels. And it's thanks to the gills that every monkey has that allows Donkey Kong to breathe underwater. But it's within these levels that really show off how difficult this game is. It just felt like enemies would appear out of nowhere and I kept getting hit. It doesn't help that you can't get hit at all. Donkey Kong, despite having huge muscles, dies when anything touches him. There are levels where the lights turn on and off, and these were actually the worst levels in the game. The game itself is fun, but it's so crushingly difficult towards the middle and the end. The boss fights are fine. You just need to jump on them, but they repeat boss fights, which I'm upset about. Overall, it's a challenging platformer. Looking back, the only issues I had was the game's difficulty and the fact that you die in one hit. Other than that, it's the best Donkey Kong game so far. I just wish its sequel could change the difficulty. Oh no. Diddy's Kong Quest is the sequel that doesn't even star the main character. This time you play as Diddy and his girlfriend, Dixie Kong. Which is weird considering they already share the same last name. Visually, the game looks just as stunning as the original. The art style holds up beautifully and the core gameplay remains the same except for one major difference. Dixie can float using her hair. But man, is this game so much more difficult. Some of the levels are just brutal. The honey stages glue you in place, which is annoying. The vine levels are a non-stop barrages of enemies and hazards. I felt like I couldn't go 2 steps without getting hit. And the final level? If you're not lightning fast and perfectly precise, you're just not finishing it. It sucks because you don't know what's coming up next, so you need to die to learn what to do. It's the kind of game where you're constantly sweating through your controller. While it was hard to beat this game, there are some great improvements here. The boss fights, genuinely creative, with no repeats this time. You don't just jump on them anymore, you have to find and throw objects, which adds a nice bit of variety. And the level endings, way better. In the first game, you just walked off screen and it felt anticlimactic. Here, you get a goalpost and a bit of celebration, which gives each stage a more satisfying conclusion. But I just can't forgive how difficult this game is, so I'm putting it into 25th place. It's definitely tougher than hitting the subscribe button, which if you can manage to do that, you're a better gamer than I am. But I'd much rather play the arcade classics or even its own sequel. Now Diddy and Donkey have been kidnapped, as it's up to Dixie and Kiddy Kong to save them. Improvement wise, they made the overmap open so you can go around anywhere and find secrets. As for other improvements, it's basically just a copy of Country 2 but with a much lower difficulty curve. Which is weird, because people think this game is harder. I found the bosses to be the most creative they've ever been. You fight bosses as your animal friends and even fight a snowman in a different perspective. But outside of that, there's nothing more I can say about this game. It's easier, but it doesn't stand out. But I decided to rank it above the original Donkey Kong Country because I thought it was easier. I don't know, maybe going through the hell that was Country 2 made me better at these games. And while I'm here, let's talk about the Donkey Kong Land trilogy. These are basically just the SNES games compressed down to fit on the Game Boy. The first one actually has a different final world that takes place in a city, allowing it to stand out just a little bit. Can't really say the same about Donkey Kong Land 2 and 3, but I'm not gonna stand here and try to tell you about the same games 6 times in a row. They're fine. But it's better to play the country games than it is the land games. But then the series would lay dormant for 14 years. But it would eventually return with a brand new developer who would return the series to the spotlight with Donkey Kong Country Return. So a big totem just kind of rises out of a volcano and brings along a crew of hypnotic tiki instruments that can mind control animals. Their plan? Steal Donkey Kong's banana horde. Because of course, they even try to hypnotize Donkey Kong himself, but his brain is only wired for one thing: violence. Donkey Kong Country Returns completely flips the formula. Now you can climb on stuff, there are new rocket barrel levels, and the classic minecart stages make a comeback. Oh, and Donkey Kong can take 2 hits now. 2! That's revolutionary! No more instant death after a single mistake. Every level's a visual treat, especially the silhouette ones. They are gorgeous. And the music ties it all together perfectly. This is easily the most cinematic Donkey Kong Country game to date. But they give you so many lives, which is great, because the game is still challenging. The rocket barrel and minecart levels are definitely the biggest difficulty spikes, just like in the original games. But unlike Diddy's Conquest, the challenge here feels fair. If you mess up, you don't feel cheated. You feel like, okay, I can do this. I just have to lock in. That's the magic of Returns. It pushes you but never punishes you unfairly. The story gets a little wild. The Tikis feed on bananas, so DK punches his way through an army of hypnotized animals to get them back. Each boss has his own unique gimmick, which keeps things fresh, though yeah, one of them is reused, which kinda sucks. But the best part is the end of the fights. After every boss fight, Donkey Kong just unloads on the Tiki instruments. He sprints up to them and absolutely beats the ever-living crap out of them. It is so satisfying every single time. The final boss is awesome too. A bit long. Bosses now take 9 hits to go down, which means if you choke near the end, you're redoing the whole fight. They're long, but manageable. Just don't mess up at the end. But this is the best Donkey Kong game so far. Even though it was developed by Retro Studios instead of Rare, they understood what made the originals great and brought that magic into the modern era with style. But Retro wasn't done yet. What was next for Donkey Kong after beating up a bunch of Tikis? An invasion. A mysterious blizzard rolls in, freezing the entire island. A fleet of Viking animals led by a giant menacing walrus sails in to conquer Donkey Kong's tropical paradise and turn it into an Arctic wasteland. The bananas, gone. The island, frozen. And Donkey Kong? Furious. So you thought the last game was cinematic. Tropical Freeze takes it to the next level. The camera shifts during gameplay now, zooming, panning, and even rotating to give you dynamic angles that makes every level feel alive. Each world starts with a sweeping establishing shot that sets the stage perfectly. It's polished, it's dramatic, it's cool. I said it's cool.
I get it. I get the pun. Can you shut up?
You've also got 2 new companions with Dixie and Cranky Kong. So Diddy lets you hover in the air, Cranky gets a pogo bounce for extra vertical movement, and Dixie? She gives you a double jump. Out of all of them, Dixie was the best one. I never really used the other companions. I believe in Dixie's supremacy. You know what? Maybe Diddy isn't that bad. Cranky, let's just stick with Cranky. He's the best one. Swimming returns in this game, and you can finally attack underwater, which is great. But also, Donkey Kong controls kind of awkwardly down there. And now, he can't breathe underwater, which adds pressure to some already tough levels. Speaking of tough, the game difficulty goes from 0 to 100 real quick. There are only 6 worlds, but the difficulty ramps up hard between World 4 and 5. And the bosses? Painfully long. They each have multi-phase attack cycles where you can't do anything but wait. And wait. And wait. You could be 10 minutes into a fight and mess up once near the end and then boom, redo the whole thing from the start. It's exhausting. And the final boss? Brutal. I get it. It's the culmination of your skills, but he's relentless and not in a fun way. After that fight, I just felt drained, and look, I can forgive a tough boss if the story is great. But Frederick isn't some tragic villain with a backstory. He doesn't want bananas, he's not cursed or possessed, he just showed up, froze the island, and said, yeah, this is mine now. He's evil for the sake of being evil. I just keep thinking that this game should have been better than Country Returns. The visuals are stunning, the gameplay is tight, the music slaps. But because of how much the final boss soured the experience for me, I'm placing it below Returns. It could be worse though. Could be of which there are 3 games, Donkey Konga, Donkey Konga 2, and Donkey Konga 3 Tabe Hotai Haru Mogitate Goju Kyoku. One of them didn't make it to the US. Can you guess which one? For some reason, the first game has a story. It's simple. DK and Diddy find some bongo drums and decide to become famous musicians. Sure, why not? It works, and it gives the game a little momentum. The second game didn't have a story, but for some reason, the third game does. What's that? What's the story for the third game? I don't know, I don't speak Japanese. I just memorized the title for the bit. Each game has a few modes, but really the only one that matters is street performance. That's how you earn coins and unlock songs and extras. So I'm scrolling through the track list and seeing the usual stuff. You know, happy birthday song, the Pokemon theme, the Mario theme. And then I see All the Small Things by Blink-182. What? Okay, granted, it's not actually Blink-182. They use cover bands for everything, but still, you've got stuff like We Will Rock You by Queen, All-Star by Smash Mouth, and even Dragon Ball Z Intro by Goku. I was not ready for this. The song selection is honestly amazing for the time, but great music doesn't automatically make a great rhythm game. But the game came bundled with bongo drums, which sadly limits the amount of inputs you have. You slap the left bongo drum, you slap the right bongo drum, you clap. That's it. And it makes the game feel more like a gimmick. The difficulty is fair, but the UI? It's not that great. Notes fly in from the right, but the screen is so cluttered it's hard to focus. And that never improves. I was expecting a Nintendo rhythm game, but what I got was a bongo rhythm game. It's not terrible, but if you gave me the choice, I'd rather bang on the Guitar Hero drums than these. The Donkey Kong games are fine. They're not that bad, but I'd much rather play a real Donkey Kong game, so I'm putting them in spots 15 through 17. That sounds fair. Are you happy now? I finally talked about the Donkey Konga games, so let's move on to the handhelds, because somehow one of them is worse. DK King of Swing is an interesting one. What really makes this game stand out is that they tried something completely different for a Donkey Kong title. It's a puzzle platformer where instead of moving DK, you control his hands. Yeah, let me explain. In each level, there are floating pegs in the air. Once you jump, use your left and right bumpers to grab onto them. Left bumper for the left hand, right for the right. Let go of one, and DK will start to spin in circles. Time it right, and you can launch yourself to the next peg. To attack, you have to grab onto something with both hands, charge up a spin, and then let loose. I hope showing you the in-game tutorials helped whenever I was explaining it, because
Yeah, it's weird.
The story is simple enough. There's a jungle jam happening, but King K. Rool shows up and steals all of the medals, so naturally DK sets out to get them back. Visually, the game is beautiful. The sprite work is vibrant and the environments look great. And honestly, the music shocked me. I never heard this soundtrack before, and there are some serious bangers here.
Alright, I can't hide it anymore. Guys, this game sucks.
The controls are the problem. They're not just weird, they make everything harder than it needs to be. Bosses, platforming, even finding secrets, all made harder by the controls. Charging attacks are slow and clunky. Half the time I'd miss or get hit before releasing. And if the controls are frustrating, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to play your game.
And the mind-blowing part is that this game got a sequel on the DS. And that game's actually good.
DK Jungle Climber keeps the same core mechanics, swinging, climbing, jumping, but tweaks them just enough to make a huge difference. Now there's a dedicated attack button, so you don't need to be holding on with both hands just to fight. You can attack whenever you want. It's such a small change, but it completely fixes the flow.
It feels like a massive weight has just been lifted off of my shoulders. Finally, I could fight enemies without having to do hand yoga first.
Also, Diddy finally joins DK in this one. He gives you extra range with your attacks, though you die in one hit now. It's easier overall, so one-hit deaths aren't too punishing. The story's wild. King K. Rool steals crystals from aliens. Sure, why not? We've had tiki drums and frozen Vikings. Let's throw some sci-fi in there. You travel through different worlds and even alternate dimensions, which adds some variety. But around the late game levels, the difficulty spikes hard. I wanted to stop, but I pushed through to the ending, and yeah, they're just like, yay, we did it, and then the credits. Like, how anticlimactic.
If King of Swing has taught me anything, it's that controls can either make or break a game. As for Jungle Climber, while I did enjoy it more, the ending just wasn't that good, so I'm placing it just above the Donkey Konga trilogy. Now, there's been one game that I've skipped over, but trust me, it's for a good reason. So let's talk about Donkey Kong on the Game Boy.
At first, it seems like a remake of the arcade classic with 4 levels, but then the game opens up into a full-on adventure, complete with multiple worlds and dozens of puzzle-based levels. Each stage challenges you to grab a key and bring it to a door. Sounds simple, but the puzzles can get surprisingly complex. Mario even gains new moves like backflips and handstands, which feel great to use.
It's such a simple game, but it marks a major evolution in the Donkey Kong series. It was such a leap forward that it laid out the foundations of what would become the Mario. Now, some people will argue that this doesn't count as a Donkey Kong game, but Wikipedia says it does, so I'm forced to play them.
Mario vs. Donkey Kong kicks off with Donkey Kong stealing mini Mario toys, and Mario's job is to get them back. Gameplay-wise, it's basically Donkey Kong 94 from the Game Boy. Same puzzle platformer style, but with a big graphical upgrade and a ton more levels. The game was even good enough to get a remake on the Nintendo Switch. But I don't like the remake. It's the exact same game, but somehow it bored me. I actually played the Switch version first, and it just didn't hold my attention. But the Game Boy Advance version? I was way more into it. I wanted to see Mario and Donkey Kong make up at the end.
And I don't think Nintendo realized what they unleashed with the mini Marios. They would become so popular, they hijacked the entire series.
Next up is Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, March of the Minis. Yeah, the titles are just gonna get worse from here. This one's actually a peak Mario puzzle game. The setup, a new toy store's grand opening, Pauline's there to cut the ribbon, and Donkey Kong instantly falls in love with her. He offers her a mini Donkey Kong toy, but she takes Mario's instead. DK loses it, kidnaps Pauline, and now Mario sends in the mini Marios to save her.
Honestly, amazing intro. Also, you play as the mini Marios this time, not Mario.
Their movement is limited, which makes the puzzles more complex. And it's not just one, you're controlling 2 to 5 minis at once. It's a lot of multitasking, but I found it really fun. Boss fights, you're still facing Donkey Kong, but you attack him by launching the minis you managed to save. Then at the end, Pauline kisses the mini DK toy and everyone's happy.
This game is so good. The music slaps and you can make your own levels. It's so good, Nintendo would release it again. And again. and again.
Minis March again, Miniland Mayhem, Tipping Stars. They're all basically March of the Minis. The only real gameplay change is that all of the minis have to reach the exit at the same time, and if one dies, it's game over. That's it. Honestly, there's no point in breaking these down individually. They're just the same game copy and pasted 3 times. But then there's Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge, and this one sucks. It is the same gameplay again, but this time you don't even get the full game unless you have specific amiibos. I've never liked that idea.
And I get it. You're not going to buy this game unless you already own an amiibo collection. But every other game on this list gave you the full experience once you bought the game. This just feels like a glorified demo. So, Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge, we are really stretching what counts as a Donkey Kong game here, goes straight to last place.
One last Mini Mario game. Minis on the Move is a tile placement puzzle instead of a platformer. You build a path for the minis to reach the goal before they fall off the map. There are some neat twists in several puzzle modes, but no boss fights. The biggest issue? It's on the 3DS and you play using the bottom screen, but all of the animations and gameplay are shown on the top screen. I was so focused on the bottom screen, I didn't even notice half of what was happening above. Why show anything important there at all?
It's just not as strong as March of the Minis, so Minis on the Move is going to be put into 18th place. Sure, it's better than some games, but if you want a Mini Mario experience, just play March of the Minis. It's the best one. Now we've reached the final category, the other Donkey Kong games. These games don't fit anywhere else because they only have one entry. But these are some of the most well-known Donkey Kong games. I'm talking kart racing, ninja fighting, and yes, even rap music.
Here we go.
The game that brought Donkey Kong into the third dimension, Donkey Kong 64. I wasn't expecting much going in. This comes from an era dripping in nostalgia, and a lot of people tend to overrate games from this time. But to my surprise, I had a lot of fun with it. It's a classic collectathon. You explore these massive worlds searching for golden bananas as 5 different Kongs. Donkey, Diddy, Tiny, Lanky, and Chunky. Playing as different characters is genuinely one of the best parts. Each one feels unique. You might need to inflate Lanky to reach a banana in the sky, string Tiny to crawl through a hidden tunnel, or have Donkey Kong play Donkey Kong. There's so much to do.
It can seem overwhelming at first, but once everything clicks, you get into this nice rhythm. All the worlds are visually distinct, and the soundtrack is absolutely fire. But the game is not all sunshine and rainbows.
This game takes about 26 hours to beat, and I kept wondering, why? Well, it's because each world takes about 2 hours to fully complete. Each Kong has 5 bananas to find per world. That's 25 per level. So once you find all of Donkey's bananas, congratulations, now go through the entire level again as Diddy. The amount of backtracking is unreal, and it gets worse. Each Kong collects their own colored bananas. There's no shared inventory, so I'd be collecting Tiny's bananas, see a Donkey switch, then have to trek all the way back to a tag barrel, switch characters, and then have to walk all the way back. And they all move like they're stuck in molasses. The pacing just drags. The worst offender, though, is the camera. The controls are a little clunky, but they're usable. The camera, on the other hand, I was fighting it more than I was fighting the enemies.
But with that being said, I still had a lot of fun with this game. It exceeded my expectations in a big way, so I'm ranking it pretty high. But have you ever wondered, what if Donkey Kong could teach me math? It's not that good. At all. Alright, I'm gonna talk about Diddy Kong Racing now.
Here's another game Wikipedia says counts as a Donkey Kong game, even though Donkey Kong himself isn't in it. What stood out right away was the controls. For a Nintendo 64 game, they're tight and responsive, and you get to race with 3 different vehicles: the cart, the plane, and the hovercraft. The hovercraft kinda sucks, but the plane? Surprisingly good. There's not too much to say though, because the game's pretty short. You do 4 tracks, fight a mini-boss, then do the same 4 tracks again, but this time collecting silver coins, rematch the mini-boss, then do a Grand Prix. Repeat that 4 times, and that's the game. The music and track don't really stand out, but honestly, I had a lot of fun with it.
This is one of the best kart racers I've ever played, and And I've played every Mario Kart. You can click here to watch that video. I just wish they would make another Donkey Kong racing game, one that stands out from every other racer. Oh no, what now?
Let's just take a moment to appreciate how absolutely ridiculous this is. You're playing as a Kong wearing a bongo jetpack in a racing game. And you know what? It's kinda fun. Sure, your character's auto-accelerates, but there's still some skill involved, mainly through wild moves. These give you a burst of speed, and if you chain them by hitting barrels mid-boost, you can fly through the track like a pro. It's satisfying once you get the timing down. There are even cinematic shortcuts, like hopping into a minecart or riding an animal buddy. The tracks are visually stunning and the music goes hard, but they keep reusing the same tracks across different Grand Prix. You'll start recognizing layouts real fast and not in a good way. The biggest issue though, this game is exhausting. You have to constantly shake the Wii remote and nunchuck to turn, and after just a few races, I felt beat. It's a weird combination of cardio and carpal tunnel.
My genuine favorite thing about this game is the character roster. You have HD Lanky Kong, you have grown-up Tiny Kong. These guys are legends, and they will never appear in another game ever again. I just wish they used bongo drums instead of the Wii remotes, and it was a platformer instead of a racing game, and it had amazing boss fights, and I just realized I'm describing a better game.
Donkey Kong Jungle Beat isn't just a game, it's a full-blown experience. Every level starts with a spotlight beaming down on Donkey Kong like he's stepping onto a stage to perform, and the game just keeps escalating from there. It was originally designed to be played with the DK bongo drums, and while that's a fun novelty,
let's be real, just play the Wii version of this game. In the GameCube version, you need to tap the right bongo drum in order to move right. In the Wii version, you hold the joystick. You know, like a normal game.
They really show in this game why he is the king of the jungle. It is because he is a machine. With one clap, he can make you explode. He does not mess around and find out. He wants and will kill you. The premise is someone stole the bananas. Typical. So DK sets off across the kingdoms to beat up the tribal leaders and get them back. At the end of each level, there's a brief banana collecting section that just feels good, like a bonus round that rewards your momentum. It has the same satisfying energy as beating up Tiki bosses in Donkey Kong Country Returns. And then comes the boss fights. After every second level, the screen darkens, the boss lets out a terrifying war cry, and their shadow looms behind you. It is such a dramatic entrance. Genuinely one of the coolest intros in the series.
And you have legendary bosses here with Dread Kong, Karate Kong, and even Ninja Kong. But then you also fight an elephant, a bird, and a pig 3 times each.
Yeah, that's the problem. The animal bosses get recycled a lot. They do get harder each time, but I wanted new fights, not just harder repeats. And unfortunately, the game is really short. Like 2 hours short.
I love this game. It's weird, it's wild, it's beautifully cinematic, and every Donkey Kong fan should play this game at least once. Now, it's time to talk about the brand new game, Donkey Kong Bananza. Is this the best Donkey Kong game ever made? Should it have never been made at all? Or is it just mid? No one ever talks about the secret third option.
Far from DK Island, on a tiny place called Ingot Isle, Donkey Kong has picked up a part-time job as a miner. Because I guess saving islands doesn't pay the bills. He's searching for one thing, golden bananas. And just as he hits the mother lode, some weird alien spear thing sucks up all the bananas and drills Ingot Isle into the earth. Now at sub-layer 10, something falls from the sky. It's a cute little rock whose singing can break the villain's seal. With nowhere else to go and still craving bananas, DK dives deeper, down to sub-layer 100, where somehow there's a thriving ecosystem. I met the elder of this underground village and he tells me that I have the potential to harness the power of Bananza. In order to activate it, Donkey Kong lays down the drum beat and the rock sings.
Well, this complicates the timeline.
Yeah, it's Pauline. That Pauline. But she's 13 this time and a little shy about singing in public, until DK gives her the confidence to belt it out. That unlocks the Kong Bananza power, which just makes him bigger, stronger, and more banana obsessed. Pauline wants to go back to the surface and the elder tells us that the core can grant wishes. So naturally, DK agrees to go deeper because he has a wish of his own. To get unlimited bananas. Then the true villains show up, the Void Company. They want to reach the core and make their own wish, except for evil. That kicks off the gameplay loop. Head to a new sublayer, clean up the Void Company's mess, fight a boss, and then repeat.
But that's not what this game is about. It's about taking it easy and getting collectibles.
And there are so many collectibles. Golden bananas, fossils, treasures, and they're hidden in the walls, under the floor, and inside rocks. Thankfully, DK can punch so hard that he digs by brute force alone. 3 buttons on the controller are dedicated to punching. He can break chunks off of walls or floors and then throw them or ride them. The gameplay is simple but satisfying. No tricky platforming needed, just punch and chill. It is addicting. I just wanted to vibe and enjoy the collection grind.
Sadly, as a YouTuber, I can't enjoy games anymore. I have deadlines and an unhealthy relationship with Blender and DaVinci Resolve. It takes a lot to make these videos.
Nothing major happens until sublayer 400 where the path splits. But the choice doesn't really matter, you'll need to do both eventually. You do get the Otters and Zebra Bananza powers, which lets you fly and sprint. But shortly after that, you fight Void Kong. He hints that Pauline has some secret power of her own. Then I get the Elephant Bananza, take a break to raise Diddy and Dixie Kong, which was delightful, and grab the final Bananza power, Snake. And if I'm being honest about the Bananza powers, I barely used any of them. They exist mostly to solve specific puzzles, and outside of that, I forgot they were even available. Suddenly, a brainwashed elevator kidnaps Pauline because what Donkey Kong game is complete without a little vor? After turning a prison into a disco and rescuing Pauline, I finally reached the bottom levels.
Alright, I am going to put a spoiler warning here because a major twist is about to happen that you should experience for yourself. I put a timestamp here and in the description. You've been warned.
So I fight Void Kong again, but this time he needs Pauline to sing to activate the core. So I have to do the entire fight without any Bananza powers. It's tough, there's lava everywhere, and constant chaos. Just as DK wins, Void Kong turns him into stone, forcing Pauline to sing, activating the core, and when... That's not the core. That is King K. Rool, and he immediately dives into the real core to make his own wish. Suddenly, all the enemies are Kremlings. The OG sound effects return, and it's a full-blown nostalgia city. Making it to the real core, I see a biblically accurate banana, but I'm too late. K. Rool makes his wish to become king of the world. Thus, I must fight him. I have to use every Bananza power to survive, mostly by reflecting his attacks. He goes down, DK and Pauline get their wishes, and they're launched to New Donk City on a mountain of infinite bananas. But wait, it's a fake out ending. Just like they did in the original Donkey Kong Country. K. Rool shows up, again, grabs the core and wishes for the exact same thing, and I had to fight him. Again, it's not even a different fight, it's the same fight. Again, I didn't like this at all. The first fight was already so long. Why are they prolonging this? K. Rool finally goes down, and in a shocking twist, DK and Pauline go their separate ways so that they can chase their own dreams.
This was an amazing experience.
This game is packed with charm. If I wasn't rushing this video, I would have spent hours collecting every last fossil and banana. I barely talked about the main story because the real story was Pauline's. Pauline's story is surprisingly heartfelt. She grows from a shy kid scared to sing in front of people into a confident dream chaser. It was such a wonderful thing to see. The new characters fit right into the DK universe, and the classic characters still get their spotlight. Plus, customization options are great. Pauline gets different outfits, and DK is addicted to hair dye.
And he can also wear pants in this game. But to me, Donkey Kong never wears pants. I like my monkeys naked. That didn't sound right at all. Don't clip that.
The only real issues, the bosses are too easy. I wanted a challenge and I didn't get one until the very end. And again, the Bananza powers felt more like optional flair than actual mechanics. Fun to use, but rarely needed. As for the music, Pauline's songs are charming, but I've heard better soundtracks in other games. Even Donkey Konga has more bangers.
But that's every Donkey Kong game. So what made the top 3? Well, in third place, it was Donkey Kong Jungle Beat.
I've said it before and I'll say it again, this game is an underrated gem. The gameplay is pure joy, jumping, grabbing bananas midair, chaining combos with those juicy impact frames. Some of the boss fights are incredible and is one of the most cinematic games in the whole series, but it's held back by its short runtime and lack of boss variety.
In second place, it was Donkey Kong Bananza.
Call it recency bias, but this one's got instant classic energy. I couldn't stop playing. I drop into a sub layer and just stay, collecting everything. The maps are dense with charm and nostalgia, and the punch everything gameplay keeps it simple without being shallow. But the Bananza powers felt like an afterthought. I barely used them unless I had to, and honestly, it's not a tough game. I wanted more of a challenge.
And at the top, it is Donkey Kong Country Returns.
This is everything I want in a Donkey Kong game. The original Country laid out the foundations, but Returns perfected it. The gameplay is tight, the soundtrack slaps, collectibles are everywhere, and it actually tests your skills. The levels are packed with life, and the boss fights, some of the best in the series. Smacking those instruments at the end never got old. Out of all of them, this is the game I had the most fun with. It just hits every mark.
And that is my final ranking. I'll leave a full list after the Patreon credits if you want to see how everything plays, but what do you guys think? What is the best Donkey Kong game in your opinion? Let me know down in the comments below. Now I need to play something else before I go bananas. I said before I go bananas.
I get it. No more puns. I have to kill you now.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you saw, you should hit that subscribe button. I would like to thank all of my Patreons, and you should check out another one of my videos. They're pretty good.